covering the world of professional wrestling. This is the Signature Spot with Chris Toplack.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you very much for tuning into the inaugural edition of the Signature Spot with Chris Toplack. I would like to thank the band Trim for their song Your Millennium. It will be the official intro of the Signature Spot. Check them out on SoundCloud. That is Trim, T-R-I-M. Their song In My Hands will be the official extra of the Signature Spot. So they are the soundtrack to this show. It's a great band. If you love 90s alternative rock, man, they're fantastic. So again, check them out on SoundCloud. If you listened to my previous pro wrestling podcast, Ask the Top, it's great to have you back. If it's your very first time, welcome. Take off your shoes. Hope you stay a while. I'm Chris Toplack, former radio personality. I've interviewed wrestlers from the likes of Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Bobby Roode, Tito Santana, bunch of legends, some current cream of the crop, and even some future superstars, hoping to get a few wrestlers on this show. And speaking of which, what is the show all about? Well, it's going to be produced on a weekly basis. Every single Thursday, you can expect a new episode of The Signature Spot. On this show, we'll have recaps of pay-per-views, weekly shows, industry news and rumors. We'll have some featured guests along the way, topics of the week, quotes of the week, and even some roundtable discussions. Really looking forward to this new journey. Hope you join me for it. If you want to listen to new shows every single week, easy to find them. YouTube, subscribe to me on there, The Signature Spot, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, podcast apps such as Overcast, my personal website, christoplack.com, and partners like thereactionroom.com. I'm very social and easy to find there too. Facebook, at The Signature Spot. At Chris Toplack on Twitter. By the way, I live tweet during basically every pro wrestling event you can imagine. Don't know how I have the time for that. At Chris Toplack on Instagram, which is totally unrelated to wrestling about 99% of the time. And also Chris Toplack on Google+. On the show today, my thoughts on ROH Death Before Dishonor, New Japan Pro Wrestling Fighting Spirit Unleashed, highlights from Raw, Smackdown, and NXT, the return of Evolution, and predictions for WWE Super Show-Down.
Your weekly recap.
Let's start off with ROH Death Before Dishonor. It aired on Fight TV and Honor Club, and it took place in Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada at Orleans Arena. If you're going to go back and watch just one match, I would highly recommend that be Jay Lethal versus Will Ospreay. For the ROH Championship, Lethal retained, but Will looked very strong in defeat. Overall, ROH Death Before Dishonor was fairly entertaining, but felt somewhat underwhelming. At times, more like a house show vibe to me. I read that somewhere else too, and I completely agree. That's what I jotted down. I should also note that announced at the event, the now Nick Aldis versus Cody Rhodes at NWA 70 will be a 2 out of 3 falls match. That is, for the NWA World's Championship. On the flip side, New Japan Pro Wrestling Fighting Spirit Unleashed took place on Sunday, September the 30th, and it delivered in a big way. It was even reported, Mamma Mia, that NXT's own Mauro Ranallo was sitting ringside enjoying the action. Standout matches and moments to me, the Gorillas of Destiny defeating the Young Bucks to win the IWGP Tag titles. Apparently the live crowd was stunned, and no one expected the title change, which is why it was so effective. The Golden Lovers defeating Ishii and Okada. The pace set and sustained by all four men was quite remarkable. The crowd was red hot, and this match lived up to the sky-high expectations. How about, and I believe match of the night, by the way, for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title tournament match was Marty Scurll, and he defeated Will Ospreay, who had a very busy weekend. Again, I mentioned he challenged Jay Lethal for the ROH Championship, and Marty won via pin. If you're going to watch one clip of the match, and you shouldn't just watch one, but if it's going to be on your timeline, the one that you're probably going to see, and it's just spectacular, is Marty's counter from the cutter into the chicken wing submission. It was simply spectacular. I would much prefer to see Marty in his serious role like he was in this match, as opposed to the comedy spots, because they get somewhat tiresome to me. Now, perhaps most newsworthy from this was Cody Rhodes defeated Juice Robinson to claim the New Japan Pro Wrestling U.S. Heavyweight Championship. Now he currently holds two major championships, the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, and of course now this one. The month of September was very kind to Cody. He began the month by becoming the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion at All In. He closed out the month by becoming the IWGP United States Champion. Not so bad. It was also announced that Kenny Omega will be defending his IWGP Heavyweight Championship and New Japan Pro Wrestling King of Pro Wrestling on October the 8th. That's coming up very quickly against Kota Ibushi and Cody in a triple threat match. If you missed it, the event will air Friday night on Access TV. Turning over to Raw, what a way to conclude the show with The Undertaker, Kane, Triple H, and Stone Cold Shawn Michaels sporting the freshly shaved head. The city of Seattle is arguably the most underrated when it comes to pro wrestling fans. The reaction to Elias bashing the Seattle Supersonics was deafening, and it lasted for minutes straight. Both Elias and Kevin Owens could hardly get a word in as they were rained down with thunderous boos. The nuclear heat was downright spectacular. In 2018, you just don't hear that anymore. And how about Dean Ambrose cutting a career-defining promo to open Raw? But it was a few months too late, if you ask me. Instead, they wasted his first talking points in the WWE in terms of his return for a backstage interaction with Jinder Mahal. Meaningless. But I love the seeds of deceit they are planting in Dean. Could he be turning on his Shield brothers? On Smackdown, Becky Lynch continues to find her confidence on the microphone, and she is consistently one of the best promos on a weekly basis. Daniel Bryan versus Shelton Benjamin. Great chemistry between both of those superstars. I'm pleased to see Sheldon back on television again. He's too good to be kept off of it. Now, on the flip side, the Night in Milwaukee storyline seemed a little hokey to me. If Lana isn't guilty, why did she stand there in silence? She was just speechless during the video. And very quietly at the end, I didn't do anything. So I'm not really sure what the payoff is going to be here. Regarding NXT, this still remains the best weekly wrestling program anywhere. They cram a lot of content within 1 hour, but they certainly make every bit of it count. I love the fact they constantly preview next week's show. Now, that is one of the benefits of taping episodes in advance. Lacey Evans versus Candice LeRae. A great way to kick off the show with really an unexpected finish. Lacey Evans is undoubtedly one of the breakout stars, not just of NXT, but the entire WWE of 2018. Johnny Gargano versus Tony Nese was a great match. I would love to see Tony stick around, as he's a great fit on the roster. And EC3 versus Lars Sullivan, a concise match that was under 7 minutes in length, but told a great story.
The latest industry news and rumors.
The WWE has officially confirmed that Evolution will reunite at Smackdown 1000 on October the 16th. That's less than 2 weeks away. And I can't be the only one who is beyond thrilled to hear Motorhead's Line in the Sand once again, one of my all-time favorite themes. And Evolution belongs, at least on my list, but it should be on any list, of the top 5 greatest stables of all time. Maybe even an argument can be made for top 3. You had the established legend, the man still styling and profiling to this very day, the 16-time world champion, Ric Flair. You had Triple H, who was reigning supreme at that point in time, and then you had the future in Batista and Randy Orton, and look how that panned out. All 4 men, when you look at the championships that they have held, nobody compares to them. Also announced for SmackDown 1000, you have The Undertaker, that man bleeds blue. Michelle McCool, Tori Wilson, Teddy Long, and Vicky Guerrero, just to name a few. And how about a surprise in store for SmackDown 1000? This is according to @WrestleVotes. Others have reported on it, but let's just say WrestleVotes released this first. Always give credit where credit is due. Note that too other publications and websites that don't do that. Regarding Rey Mysterio, some within the company wanted a surprise pop for Australia's Stadium show coming up on Saturday. However, I'm hearing his return is more likely to happen in 2 weeks at SmackDown 1000. Mysterio was a staple of SmackDown in the early days. Makes sense. I have to wholeheartedly agree. He was a massive staple of SmackDown. I said it about The Undertaker. With Rey Mysterio, same applies. He bleeds blue, meaning that he was very loyal to SmackDown. And I associate Rey Mysterio with SmackDown. So many great memories on that show with Rey Mysterio. So even though I would love to see him in Australia, if I had to choose between the two, I would actually lean more towards SmackDown. The king of the cruiserweights returns. Days ago, former WWE superstar Neville, known as Pac, made a surprise return to pro wrestling for the Japanese promotion Dragon Gate in Tokyo, Japan, and he looked better than ever. I would still love to see him make his way back to the WWE. I don't believe he burned any bridges, but time will tell. Joey Janela was stripped of the WWN Championship. WWN issued the following statement in their latest news alert. It said, WWN Champion Joey Janela suffered a major knee injury and will be on the sidelines for several months. Regretfully, WWN officials have no choice but to strip Janela of the WWN Championship. We wish Joey a full and quick recovery. We will welcome him back whenever he is ready. One of the breakout stars of 2018. Is Daniel Bryan signed? According to a report from Dirty Sheets, Bryan is now signed with the WWE for the next 3 years, with 2 more years optioned if both sides are happy with each other. He gets a nice little pay bump. I've actually been reading that his cut of the merchandise is about 15%, so he's doing quite well for himself. Where is WrestleMania 36 going to be? I was reading several rumors online that stated that an announcement for WrestleMania 36 in Minneapolis, Minnesota will be coming at the end of the month. If that seems to be true, it will be at the U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, and that opened back in 2016. Coming up, our featured guest is Kyle Scarf. He is a super fan. He's an encyclopedia, and you can follow him on Twitter at Mr_Gore.
And now, our featured guest.
WWE Super Showdown takes place this coming Saturday, October the 6th, from the Melbourne Cricket Ground in Melbourne, Australia. The show starts at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but of course, you can watch it anytime on demand. But for me, I'm going to be staying up late for UFC 229, so I doubt that 5 a.m. will be a reality, but we'll see what happens. The very first match for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, it is Cedric Alexander taking on Buddy Murphy, a continuation of the feud from the summer that saw Murphy come up short, but Buddy Murphy, being from Australia, one has to imagine he has the home field advantage. Kyle, how do you see this going down?
I feel like Cedric's going to take the win here. Even though Buddy's in his home country, I think they're saving that home country win for a show later. Spoiler alert. And I feel like they're going to kind of build it more because they haven't really had much of a build for this one.
No.
So maybe build it more towards Crown Jewel.
You think so? So you think it's going to be the rematch at Crown Jewel? And I won't get too far ahead there, but do you think that could be the title change in the Cruiserweight division?
Possibly. Having just watched the recent 205 Live, though, Drew Gulak finally brought back his PowerPoint presentation, which
brought to you by Microsoft.
So he might be in the picture, too.
I actually am going for the opposite. I believe this will be a title change. My prediction is Buddy Murphy to become the new WWE Cruiserweight Champion. John Cena and Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens and Elias. John Cena has been living in China since July. He's been filming basically a short movie with Jackie Chan. He's much leaner. He even debuted his 6th Move of Doom back in September. And of course, Owens and Elias, fresh off their nuclear heat in Seattle. Who takes this one, Kyle?
I'm giving it to Cena and Lashley. Anytime Cena shows up for a match out of the blue like that, he's going to more than likely take the W. Although I got to say, that amount of heat, I don't think I've seen that since, the heyday of maybe like Austin when he was a heel in 2001. It was brutal, but it was amazing. I don't think that's going to change it, though. I give it Cena and Lashley. I'm hoping, though, Elias is the one who takes the pin because he's kind of bulletproof with taking the losses, and KO deserves a lot better.
Can I say a babyface should have mentioned 2 words, Sean Kemp, and you would have been forever over in the city of Seattle. NBA Jam, baby.
Oh, yeah. I'm willing to bet, though, every time they hit Seattle now, there's going to be at least one heel that makes a reference, just because when you see heat like that, that's so easy. You can't ignore that.
It is low-hanging fruit, but my prediction, being low-hanging fruit, has to be John Cena and Bobby Lashley. Moving on, the Iconics hometown advantage. Peyton Royce, Billie Kay taking on the odd pairing of Asuka and Naomi. So Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, as I mentioned, they're both from Australia. But I really do expect them to fall into this "I hate this town" rhetoric. Do you think they're going to fall into that?
I'm really hoping not, because of how much they've kind of pushed their Australianism, if you will. I'm going with the Iconics taking the win, though, for the hometown pop. But obviously Naomi's taking the pin because they're just finally starting to rebuild Asuka, which they need to do
desperately.
And she definitely can't be taking a pinfall in a throwaway tag match.
I'm predicting Naomi and Asuka with kangaroos accompanying them to ringside. No, I'm kidding. That's not going to happen. But Asuka gets the W. She desperately needs it. She needs to be built strong again, and this will get her back to her winning ways. In the SmackDown Tag Team Division 4, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, it is the New Day. So could it be Kofi Kingston, Big E, or Xavier Woods? We don't know. Freebirds rules versus the Bar, that is Sheamus and Cesaro. Do they retain? Do they lose their championships, Kyle?
I'm going with the Bar. I think they're taking it. I'm going to call this as the sleeper match of the night.
Unbelievable.
Because both teams can go, and New Day, when they get that spotlight on them,
they shine.
Yeah, they're damn near flawless. But just to kind of give the show a title change, because I don't foresee a lot of title changes on the show.
No.
This one is one that can go and then, continue on to Crown Jewel and just keep letting the teams tear it up, even in singles matches. They've been like Big E. He's a star. And if they ever, are going to pull apart the New Day, that's the guy who's going to come out and with the highest amount of, momentum for a singles run.
He has the ability to be a potential main eventer, especially in the land of opportunity. He could certainly get that and run with it.
Oh, yeah.
So I believe the New Day is going to retain. And hear me out for a second. I love the Bar, Sheamus, and especially Cesaro. But because this is one of those B-level pay-per-views, I just don't see them changing the championships there. Now, that being said, as much as I appreciate the New Day and their shtick, it grows very stale. In a lot of respects, they do shine under the bright light, so this will be their opportunity to say, hey, just when you thought we were stale, we're going to perform and be as relevant as ever. So I believe they're going to retain the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. For the SmackDown Women's Championship, you have Stone Cold Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. As Becky noted on SmackDown, she stopped waiting and started taking. This newfound edge has really propelled her to the top of the division, and the fans are still fully behind her, by the way. And with Charlotte, basically, will she be forced to call Becky Queen after Saturday, Kyle?
Well, I've been a homer for Becky since NXT. I remember the match that I think it was with Sasha Banks for the title.
Yes, it was.
Where she lost, and then the entire crowd sang her theme song as she went to the back. This run that she's having is incredible. I've loved everything about it. I don't know why they keep pushing the heelism. when it's so obvious they got something special here.
They pulled back a bit on SmackDown, though, this week, it felt like.
I'm thinking Becky's going to win and retain, but using some sort of nefarious means.
No DQ, it could be a DQ, count out, something like that.
Like a DQ or, maybe a pin holding the ropes or feet on the ropes, something like that, just to keep that little bit of the heel going. But if they were smart, they could do the double turn here.
They could.
Which is needed.
They could, and it is very much needed. For the 6-woman tag team match, it is the champion Ronda Rousey teaming up with the Bella Twins, that's Nikki and Brie, versus the Riot Squad of Ruby, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins, to me, Kyle, seem like one of the more odd pairings in WWE history.
Definitely. If the rumors are true, they're going for the whole Nikki Ronda match at Evolution, and I think this is kind of the setup for that. I'm still giving Ronda and the Bellas the win.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if Liv Morgan's actually in action.
Very minimally, I believe.
Yeah, I think she'll be definitely on the apron most time. But there's gonna be, I'm calling some kind of miscommunication between Ronda and more than likely Nikki.
You mean not Brie?
No, keep Brie on the outside for the safety of everyone. No, I'm actually, I think we had a discussion about the whole thing, and things happen, so you can't really.
It's not
drag
ballet.
her down too much. Yeah, exactly. It ain't ballet, but definitely something's gonna happen between Nikki and Ronda that starts the build towards. I'm guessing they're gonna have Nikki turn heel.
They have to. At this point, they'd have no other choice, because even though Ronda could naturally fit as a heel, she's far too over, and the machine is behind her. Nikki's a much more natural fit as a heel, Brie included, so it makes more sense, especially for them to have the numbers advantage over Ronda.
Exactly. And you know what? If they were smart, they'd even build in like the whole thing with Brie.
Yes.
And the concussion, the safety thing, being like, just saying, I don't care about anyone else as long as I'm winning the matches.
Sure.
It writes itself. But
it does. But I agree with you. I think Ronda, Nikki, and Brie get the win. If we don't see the turn in Australia, I think it's going to happen on Raw.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. They're going to have like kind of the tension built on this one, and then
they pull the trigger on Raw.
The full turn.
Makes sense. So from Brie to her husband, it's Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. Winner of this match gets a future, very kind of ominous, because you don't know when, a future WWE Championship match. Now, The Miz has 2 straight wins over Daniel, but Kyle, can he make it 3 in a row?
First of all, I'm calling this as probably match of the night. I know I said the tag team, that's going to be the sleeper of the night. This one, I think, is going to be match of the night because
chemistry.
These guys can go. And I'm going to say my prediction is we're going to have a visual win after a ref bump for Daniel Bryan. And then Miz is going to take advantage of that, and Miz is going to walk away with the title match.
I concur. I have The Miz winning, earning a WWE Championship match. Now, I'm not going to get too far ahead. It is the next match, but this is what I would prefer to see. If Samoa Joe wins, I want to see Daniel Bryan win. Obviously, the natural heel babyface dynamic, which would just be an incredible match. And if AJ retains, The Miz should be the one that wins.
Makes sense. I would completely agree with that booking style.
Excellent. Well, now we just need to sign ourselves up and start booking the pay-per-views, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, if only.
For the WWE Championship, even though it should probably be headlining the card, I believe that it won't. It will go to Triple H and The Undertaker. I'm not predicting the order, but this just makes sense to me. It is AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. It's a no disqualification or count-out match. Now, from the twisted bedtime stories and sneak attacks showing up on AJ's doorstep, Samoa Joe is proving to be very dangerous and, most importantly, unpredictable. But will AJ let his emotions get the best of him, Kyle?
Yes, definitely going to happen. AJ's reign has unfortunately been defined by non-finishes over and over again.
What a shame.
It is, because
he's arguably the best in the world today.
Exactly. Yeah. There's very few that I would put up there with him. Maybe
Seth.
Okada, Omega, Seth. But I'm not expecting that to change here. AJ is gonna lose it completely. I'm calling maybe, I don't know what the set looks like or anything, but maybe throwing him off the stage, knocking him out, but where we don't get an actual win. And that'll lead to another gimmick match or something at Crown Jewel where we'll finally, hopefully, see the title go to Joe.
I do agree that Samoa Joe will have his moment. I actually falsely predicted this at SummerSlam. It's not going to happen now. It will happen soon, but AJ Styles retains the WWE Championship. Another 6-person tag team match. It is The Shield, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose versus the Dogs of War, Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. With the seeds of deception being planted in Dean Ambrose, the dynamic of this match becomes even more interesting, with the Shield remaining strong, or will they break apart? How do you see that playing out?
Well, let's be honest. The Shield are the best in the world at 6-man tag matches. And
Absolutely.
they've been proving that since 2013. This is going to be a war, but I am seeing, again, on a show where I've already predicted several of them, some kind of miscommunication involving Ambrose that is going to give more weight to that eventual heel run that I think everyone kind of sees. And I almost feel like, we might get a swerve, bro.
Oh,
and
geez.
they might, try and turn Seth or Roman heel. Well, if they turn Roman heel, that would be, I think, save him a lot. But I'm giving this one to the Dogs of War. How about you?
So I invite you to the inaugural episode of the Signature Spot, and you drop a Vince Russo reference. That's how you get blocked, deleted, and banned almost immediately, bro. And if you want to put a podcast on a pole match, I'm not game for that one. But back to this match, I believe the Shield is going to win. There could be a miscommunication. I actually see Roman or Seth getting the pin, and Dean almost acting a little bit jealous about that. Still creating that tension.
That's a good way to run it without doing the swerve of any kind.
Exactly. And not now, but it will happen later. And for Dean to play that psychotic character in full, I do believe he has to turn heel at some point in the future, and it will happen. It's just a matter of when. The main event, Kyle, is the main event. We've made it through. If you can start at 5 a.m. and last until, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., it's going to be Triple H versus The Undertaker, featuring Kane in one corner, Shawn Michaels, a.k.a. Stone Cold Steve Austin with the shaved head. We'll talk about that in a second. They will both be ringside. It's being advertised that this will be the final time Triple H versus The Undertaker go one-on-one, but the key to that sentence is one-on-one, as the rumors run rampant that a tag team match might be on the horizon at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. Will that happen, and what happens in this match?
I definitely see the tag match happening at Crown Jewel. There's no way they donated $100,000 to Knoxville, Tennessee, for Kane to take Kane away without getting their money's worth out of that. Trips has never gotten that win over Taker, and I feel like
now's the time.
Even though, now Taker's weaker. He's older. He's not the Undertaker of even 3 years ago. And Lord knows, I love Undertaker. I got the Undertaker symbol tattooed on my arm. Maybe a schmoz though, involving Kane and HBK to help build towards that match at Crown Jewel. But I don't think they would be smart to do the WrestleMania 27, use your main event to build to the next show type ending. But if we do get an actual finish, I'm going with Triple H, and it pains me to say that.
I still believe it's The Undertaker. What I found very interesting on Raw was the fact that it felt as though The Undertaker and Kane were playing the heels. Triple H ran down and made the save for Shawn Michaels. He got the big pop. The Undertaker was actually getting some boos for a moment. I thought that was very bizarre.
An attack on Shawn Michaels, who's so beloved, right? That kind of
freshly shaved too.
Yeah, that really threw me off. Like I knew he had, the short hair, but then I saw the full shave thing, and I don't know if maybe him and Hunter are trying to make themselves look very much more similar for the upcoming match.
It's a Halloween costume. Let's just spoil it.
Yeah. I am excited to see Sean come out of retirement. I feel like he's going to still be able to go, just like when he came back in 2002 after the back injury and then put on, pretty much a 5-star match in his first match back.
Sure.
Although there is a part of me that's like, man, he was the one guy in wrestling that stayed retired.
Well, we'll leave that for a future edition of the show because, off air, I've been very, very candid and opinionated about that. So I'll share my full 2 cents on the matter on a future edition of the Signature Spot.
Absolutely. Definitely be one hell of a conversation.
Oh, it will be. So that wraps up our set of predictions for Super Show-Down. Again, if you're on the East Coast, it airs at 5 a.m. And if you want to follow Kyle Scarf on social media, the best place I would say is Twitter. That's Mr_Gore. Is that correct?
That is correct. Thank you. I haven't really been using Twitter a lot, but I'm trying to get back on it a little more. Definitely promote the work I'm doing online with regards to music reviews, and absolutely, I'm always going to start tweeting a little more during wrestling events because Lord knows I got enough opinions about wrestling.
And that's why you're here, and that's why we'll keep hearing you more often on this program. Kyle, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening to The Signature Spot with Chris Toplack.
A great conversation with Kyle Scarf about Super Show-Down taking place this coming Saturday. I hope to have him on the program again soon. A quick pick, and then I'm out of here for UFC 229. Now, you might be thinking, Chris, this is a pro wrestling show, but is there anybody more pro wrestling than Conor McGregor, the notorious one? Conor McGregor is an extremely dynamic, powerful, quick striker with impeccable timing and the gift to gab. And then you have his opponent, Khabib Nurmagomedov, the reigning lightweight champion. He's arguably the best pound-for-pound wrestler in the UFC and possesses a relentless ground game where he thrives on creating suffocating situations for his opponent. If he took me down, I would just basically tap out at that point. From the opening minute of the fight, one has to suspect that Khabib will likely pressure Conor, making it very difficult for the notorious one to sustain his cardio. McGregor is always one punch or one precise combination away from finishing the fight, but Khabib is a completely different animal. So my brain says Khabib via unanimous decision, but my heart will always say Conor McGregor via knockout in the first or second round. Don't take those to the bank, but that's what I'm thinking. I believe it's probably going to be Khabib, but I hate picking against Conor McGregor. Thank you to Kyle Scarf and the band Trim for being a part of this episode. As I noted, Trim will be a part of every episode moving forward as the official intro and extro of the Signature Spot with Chris Toplack. And thank you for tuning into the inaugural edition of the Signature Spot with Chris Toplack. Hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week, and happy trails to you until we meet again.
This concludes another episode of The Signature Spot with Chris Toplack. For new episodes, subscribe on YouTube, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. And don't forget to follow The Signature Spot on Facebook for exclusive clips, polls, and opinions.